Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the weekend preview. And I'm keen as mustard for the footy this week. I'm back in Geelong today, going up to the game tonight. I'm absolutely pumped for it. A bit more preparation to this one. I'm not driving, I'm not doing it on the fly. Albeit I've gone to afl.com.au, gone to the teams, and it's decided to show every side with no change. So that doesn't do me any favours. I have already looked at it, so we'll be going by the old write-up that they do, where they verbally and you got to read through quite a bit, but these days no one wants to read, do they? But look, I've got the teams in some form in front of me, and we'll run through it, and it's not overly kind. This week is going to prove to be difficult, maybe not for fielding a side, but just for our hopes and aspirations for a month's time. Now's that stage where I've talked about in the past, it's very easy to pick a good side and to identify who are the good rookie price players at the start of the season. It's all spoon-fed to you. This is where it's really difficult, and sometimes you just cross your fingers and hope it comes through. And at the moment, our cash generation options are getting chopped off at the source, where getting cash cows who are getting dropped or losing their place in the side for whatever reason when they're about 200 to 250k, if that. Nothing worse than going the old rookie ramp. A guy peaks, you trade him down, that mid-season rookie, and you hope that he consolidates himself. And to see him dropped in the manner that many have been can be frustrating. So going through the sides, there's nothing of too much note in Geelong and Sydney. Of course, Port and Hawthorn played last night. Now, Nathan Broad was dropped from Richmond. A lot of people may have been looking for some sort of rookie option on the bubble in the back line there. Marcus Adams is out. That could hurt a few as well. Tom Phillips was dropped. Mason Cox not in the side. So it's tough, A lot of people would have loved the look of Phillips. Everything was saying pick him, looks good, scored well, produces a shocking score, and he's dropped immediately. So I wouldn't write him off as far as getting back in the side, but the frustration, at least in the short term, is real. Not too much going through in the other games. The Bombers, of course, Zaharakis is out. They've got a stack of changes there, absolutely heaps. No Wells, he hasn't returned. That might hurt a few. Michael Barlow is out. That may also hurt a few. So, that's it's really a week that not a great deal is happening positively, but a lot is going out of the side. Keys is also dropped. Zorko comes into the side, so that's good, but Keys is out. Someone like Cade Stewart didn't come back in. Sam Reid is still missing in action. Tom Lee was dropped as well. Now, look, there's a few of these players who may return. You just never know, but it's frustrating because you look at your side and you go, yep, I'll be able to do this. He'll rise to this price at this point in time. I'll be able to trade him down. And, we'll start to finalise our teams really well. And we've just found a nice little hurdle right at the finish line. I think most people would probably have 20, 21 sort of premiums in their side by this stage. Some may be completed, but if you're completed, you want to sort of maybe bulk up on the bench with, a really good emergency. Now, a bit of a thorn in our side at the moment as the teams come out. Hopefully it's short-term pain. The pity is that a lot of these guys, even though they've been dropped, it's not exactly they're on the rise in any rapid rate price-wise. I know Keys was going backwards. Phillips just scored a 28. So we can rest our laurels on Sammy Collins. He's got a break-even of negative 32. And a lot of people might be looking at Jack Silvani. I wouldn't endorse it this week unless it's drastic, but I would look at getting him in because they're going to play him. He looked really good. He scored 70 odd, but he looked good. Took some strong marks. Looked at home. A lot of pressure on the young man. Coming into the back half of the season with a debut, you'd expect him to play a lot of games for the rest of the year, if not all of them. So, someone to keep on your radar as we desperately try to cling to anything that resembles a bubble boy, because there's not much happening at all. Now, on the other side of things, who can you bring in? Well, of course, Heath Shaw continues to drop after his shocking score the other week. Now, He's going to be very, very gettable in a couple of weeks. I mean, surely most people have him already. I don't mind Cade Simpson. His price is, he's not cheap, but I think he's around 530 odd. He's just a good scorer, and he's cheaper than Doherty and, cheaper than Shorty, and I think he's right up there. Jason Johannesson, despite kicking the match winner, he's still working his way into it. His price is, really gettable, real gettable, so he could be a nice guy to add onto your list in that back line. And Alex Rance, who I've pumped up for some time. In the midfield, I really like the look of Daniel Hanbury. I really do. I think he's at a great price, about 540, I think. So, really good price to get it at. Dylan Shield as well. He's about 500 now. If you want to go someone different, I've had him for the whole year, but I really like what he's producing now. Robbie Gray was probably at a good price at 500 as well, and scored really good last night. Now, probably should have been aware of that, I suppose, if you take it seriously. I mean, Jared McVeigh, also another guy in that back line that I forgot to mention, well priced at 460. The ruck division, I think if ever you're going to make a change, and if you don't have Goldstein, well, now's the time to do it. He said he's fresh after the break. He's not going to be 100% because he's obviously carrying a fair workload, but he'll be better for the run. And he meets a Nick Natanui-less West Coast, and you'd expect him to have a big game. So if you're finishing off your ruck, look for him for sure. And in that forward line, I like the look of Dane Zorko. He's at 523, I think, somewhere around that mark. If not, I think his break-even is still about 120, so he may drop even more so. And Aaron Hall, he's averaging 96, just scored 118. He's at 400,000. Now, if you've got 6 premium forwards, or even 5, and you want to have someone to upgrade to, well, you have to consider him, because it's never been a question on his ability to find the ball, but a few work rate things and a few other things. So you'd expect him to be right in the mix of it now. He's obviously showed he can play, and he could be nice bench coverage at 400, doesn't break the bank. And if not, an F6 position never goes astray. That's not too bad either. But Luke Dalhouse, of course, when he returns, he'll be on a rapid drop, and one to consider, no doubt, as well. So a few names there. I think the main point at the moment is there's not a great deal you can do. There's nothing glaringly obvious to trade in, or glaringly obvious to bring in regards to a trade down option. I think all those guys I've just mentioned are well worth bringing in if you've got the coin. But if you don't have the coin, well, it's a bit of a problem at the moment, because I can't see too many options off the top of my head that are going to make real coin aside from Collins. I think if you've got McDonald tipping Woody, it's time to get rid of him, as is the case with Kerridge. I know they're capable scorers and have shown that, but I think I've endorsed this in the past. You should be culling all those sort of guys. Adams comes under that category as well, because they've got great currency, and now is the time we need it. Now's not the time to be super patient with guys like that. Now's the time to go, well, look, here's the points. Should I get them this week or next week? Probably get them this week. Now, I'll probably slightly break that rule this week, which you'll probably see in the press conference, but that's more to do with I have to be extremely careful with how I spend my money, because, look, I'll read you my bench as it'll be this week. Collins, Lee, Keys, Stewart, McPherson, some spud from Gold Coast at R3, Phillips and Sam Reid. One bloke is playing, and that's Collins. Now, I've got 21 premiums, and you could argue the case on Birchall and Rich. I know a lot of people will dispute that, but they're capable scorers. They're not great scorers, but they're final 6 sort of guys. For my side, I'm going to look to add in Rance. So, I'm pretty complete, but I am toing and froing with the fact to bring in Zorko. But because I'm going to be so tight on cash, and you may be in the same situation as well, you may want to spend it wisely. This is where you can really get quite detailed in your plan. You're not going to have too many fluctuations on the benching price, because a lot won't be playing. You want to upgrade this guy, upgrade that guy. How much do I have in the bank? How much am I going to need? and you can really, you know, because for example, and I can only use myself as an example, I've got about 400,000 in the bank. Now, a lot of people just say, oh, bring in so-and-so, but I still need to upgrade Collins. I still need to upgrade Jaden Hunt. They have break-evens of -32 and 20 respectively. And I'm just going to hold off. It's tempting to bring in Hanbury. It's tempting to bring in Zorko this week. It may cost me 40, 50, 60 points. You don't know. But I think just to finalise my team as best I can, because my plan is to get in Rance or Johannesson, all depending on price. And of course Zorko, I think, or even Dalhouse, depending how close he is to a return. That'll finalise my team. And I'd like to then have the ability to possibly trade down someone like Keys, and I know it'll only get me 100,000 sort of thing, and then maybe upgrade someone else. You know, it's hard to say, you know, who's going to get back into the side, but I'd love to have coverage in the midfield of a reasonable player. So that's why I'm being pretty conscious of where I'm putting my money, and you know, I can save probably 30 or 40k with Jaden Hunt, and I don't think Zorko will be going anywhere north price rise this week. It might cost me points, but I'm pretty happy with my side, and I feel like they can cover a poor score from a Jaden Hunt. So that's a bit of a wrap of the preview this week. I think the captaincy options are obvious. Put the VC on Dangerfield tonight and see how you go. If he goes well, of course, we all know what to do there. If he doesn't, take a look at Ablett or Pendlebury. And hey, if you want to be different, try and get an edge, then chuck it on Parker, Hanbury, or even Selwood. You know, there are a few options that you might just go a little bit different. So that's a wrap up from me. All the best for the week, guys. We'll see how I go as far as getting around to a few questions. This one will probably get up pretty late, and I'm going to be at the footy tonight. So yeah, I would like to think that I've covered everything you sort of need to know in regards to you know, any questions that may come. So listen into the video, and you know, my philosophies are fairly clear on how to approach this week. So all the best for the weekend, and I'll see you guys Monday.